Good afternoon. Namaste. This is Dr. Uma Kedvital, Faculty of Agricultural and Veterinary Sciences, Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. As you know, I'll be taking the course on metabolism and bioenergetics. In the previous session, we were looking into the biosynthesis of essential amino acids that are happening in the plants and bacteria. And in this session, we will be looking into the biosynthesis of another essential amino acid, histidine. So, histidine we had already talked about in the first when we were looking into the sources for various biosynthetic pathways for amino acid production. We had looked into it and we had told that this happens from ribose 5-phosphate. So that is what we will be looking at in this session, the biosynthesis of histidine in bacteria and plants. So if we are coming to the, I'll again share the screen with you because so I don't know if you remember this compound. This was already there in one of the previous biosynthetic pathways for the tryptophan biosynthesis, the phosphoribosyl 1 pyrophosphate. So this combines with ATP and this pyrophosphate part of the PRPP is actually removed, and this is the first step in tryptophan biosynthesis, and this is done by ATP phosphoribosyl transferase. So this ATP phosphoribosyl transferase will add this phosphoribosyl to ATP, and once that happens, then we have this adenine connected to the ribose, and now we have phosphoribosyl ATP that is there. Now remember that these 3 phosphates of the ATP are still over here, and that is removed in the next step. So there is a ribose over here, and ATP will have adenine, and so it will have the adenine and the ribose and the phosphate group. So it's a nucleotide. So it will have the adenine group, the ribose group, and the 3 phosphates. And here there will be a phosphoribosyl, the ribose 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The 5-carbon ribose structure with the phosphate at the 5th position that will get attached to ATP, the nitrogen of adenine in ATP. And once that is happening, then for the next step, the pyrophosphate from the ATP part will get removed. So that is a hydrolysis. So that will be done by pyrophosphohydrolase, and once pyrophosphohydrolase removes this pyrophosphate, then we will have, so if the pyrophosphate is removed from ATP, it's AMP. So we will have phosphoribosyl AMP. So the first 2 steps, one is the transfer of PRPP to ATP with the removal of pyrophosphate. and that is done by an ATP transferase, a pyrophosphate PRPP ATP transferase, and that removes one PPI. And then the next one is a hydrolase that will also remove the hydrolyze the pyrophosphate from the ATP, leaving AMP. So that is the second step. Now we have the AMP part, which will one water will be added, and then this will be so this is a hydrolysis reaction. Addition of water will be there. So we have the phosphoribosyl AMP will be, we have the phosphoribosyl AMP, and that will be acted upon by the phosphoribosyl AMP hydrolase with an addition of water, and that will lead to the formation of phosphoribosyl 4-amino 5-amino carboxamide ribonucleotide. Now, this histidine synthesis is going to be filled with such extremely complicated names, because this is histidine is an important part of the nucleotide synthesis part also, that we will be looking into in the next sessions. So there will be so many nucleotide ring structures and these aromatic ring structures that are involved in the histidine biosynthesis. So now the phosphoribosyl AMP hydrolase will add a water molecule over here. And what happens is that this ring is now open. You can see that there is a closed ring over here. The N, there is an H that is getting added over here. So there is an N and an NH. So now over here an H gets added. This gets open, and then there is a this NH double bond NH becomes single bond NH2, and there is a double bond O also added to this carbon. So this is how the water gets added to this structure, ending up with the opening of the ring structure of the adenine in the phosphoribosyl AMP. Now that becomes phosphoribosyl 4-amino 5-amino imidazole 4-carboxamide ribonucleotide. So this, after this opening of the ring structure that has been carried out by the AMP cyclohydrolase, so that hydrolyzes the cyclic structure of the AMP, and once that is done, again this entire product will be isomerized into the open structure rather than the ring structure. So it is CH2OP over here, CHOH, it's not changing, but from the ring structure it will be isomerized into the open structure. Other than that, there are no changes over here, and that is done by the enzyme. Like I told you, over here, if you don't have to do double work, you actually have to basically remember the compound name. The enzymes are all synthase or hydrolase or isomerase. So over here it's phosphoribosyl 4-amino 5-amino imidazole 4-carboxamide ribonucleotide isomerase. So since this is an isomerase reaction, so the name of the compound and then its isomerase. So instead of the closed ring structure, we will have a open structure. And once we have the open ring structure, then there is an amidotransferase reaction that is happening. So what happens is this gets split in such a way that the 5-amino imidazole 4-carboxamide ribonucleotide. This blue part, most of the blue part gets removed, and that goes to purine biosynthesis. And now an amino group from the glutamine will get added, and then this again forms an imidazole ring structure, and to that again the glycerol is added. So in the earlier one there were 2 rings, so that was an indole ring structure. Over here there is a single ring with the nitrogen in there, so it is an imidazole ring, and to which a glycerol 3-phosphate is attached. And now this imidazole, so that is done by a glutamine amido transferase. And now what happens is this will be, again, water will be removed by a dehydratase enzyme. So we have imidazole glycerol 3-phosphate. So imidazole glycerol 3-phosphate dehydratase will remove the water from this ring structure, and finally we will be having imidazole acetal phosphate. So again, this is here, CH2OP is here, C over here H2 will be removed, and that will one OH will be removed from here, and one H will be removed from here. So finally what happens is this will form a double bond O, and there is an electron rearrangement happening, which will lead to this becoming a double bond O, and this becoming CH2, or rather, I'm sorry, this becoming CH2 and this becoming C double bond O. So this removal of water ends up with, and we end up with imidazole acetal 3-phosphate. Now, an amino group is added to this. So we have a C double bond O, and instead of the alpha keto acid, amino group is added, and that is done by an amino transferase enzyme. So L-histidinol phosphate amino transferase. Here it's the end product, name of the end product, and this one that will lead to the formation of histidinol phosphate. So when the amino group is added, that will lead to the formation of histidinol. So we have histidinol phosphate, and then this phosphate is not required for the amino acid acids, right? So that will need to be removed by an or inorganic phosphatase. So that will be removed by a phosphatase so the histidinol phosphatase will remove the phosphate from here, and then we will have the enol form of histidine. L-histidinol will be formed, and then that just needs to be a dehydrogenase reaction needs to happen, so that the enol form becomes the carboxylate form, so that we will have the histidine molecule. So that is done by histidinol dehydrogenase. So that is the sum total of histidine biosynthesis reactions. Now, I know that it's quite complicated, but these ring structures have to be remembered. So I'll give a recap of this again. So we have the phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate and ATP that will be combined by the PRPP ATP transferase. That will get combined, and one inorganic pyrophosphate, this inorganic pyrophosphate will be removed, and then it will get connected over at this end, and we have a 5' phosphoribosyl ATP, and from there this ATP pyrophosphate will be removed by a hydrolase, and that will lead to phosphoribosyl AMP. And now once we have the AMP structure, so that again has to be so another hydrolase is cyclohydrolase is going to open this ring structure by addition of water. So this ring structure will be opened over here, and that forms the N5 prime phosphoribosyl 4-amino 5-amino imidazole 4-carboxamide ribonucleotide. And once the ribonucleotide is formed, then an isomerase reaction will end up converting the ring structure of the ribose to the open chain structure of the ribose. That will be, instead of the ribosyl, it will be now the ribosyl 4-amino 5-amino imidazole 4-carboxamide ribonucleotide. Now over here, what happens is there is an amidotransferase reaction that is happening. With that, nitrogen from the glutamine is getting transferred to this ring structure in such a way that only one CHNH from this CHNH will remain with the ribose group, the ribose phosphate, and the ribonucleotide as such will be removed, and that can be taken for purine biosynthesis. So 5-amino imidazole 4-carboxamide ribonucleotide, that is known as ICAR, and that has got various roles in purine synthesis. So that will be removed and taken away for purine biosynthesis. And this imidazole glycerol 3-phosphate will be taken up for histidine biosynthesis. Now there is a dehydratase reaction happening in which water will be removed, and when water is removed from the glycerol part, so this becomes a C double bond O instead of a CHOH over here, and this becomes CH2. So there is an OH removal from here, there is an H removal from here, and this becomes double bond O, this becomes CH2. And that is how the electron rearrangements happen. So that becomes acetal phosphate. So again, that is a dehydratase reaction. And then there is a transaminase reaction by which the amino group is added over here instead of the alpha keto group. Once that is there, then we have the removal of the phosphate by a phosphatase, giving the L-histidinol. And once that is there, a dehydrogenase reaction will convert the enol form to the amino acid form, the carboxyl form, and that we will end up with histidine. So that is it for histidine biosynthesis. Please take care of learning at least the names of the compounds if you can't learn the ring structures. Though if you understand the ring structures and how they are changing, that is the much easier way to learn that. So that'll be it for histidine biosynthesis. In the next session, we will be looking into the biosynthesis of the other 6 essential amino acids. So leucine, lysine, valine, isoleucine, and all we will be methionine. We'll be covering the biosynthesis of these essential amino acids in the next session. That's it for this session. Thank you. Have a good day.